show up, we wouldn't have a quorum and Chief could go home.
Drag him in another day.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday, February 15th,
Wednesday.
2024, excuse me, Thursday.
Oh, hi, Jody.
Oh, there's Jody.
Hey, Jode.
Anyway, my name is John Lohr. I am the chair of the Millis Finance Committee, and why don't we start off by introducing all of ourselves, starting to my left.
Sarah Reyes.
Joyce Boyardi.
Jen Zaretsky.
Kathy McInnes.
Thank you. So before we get going, just a reminder to everybody who's on Zoom that you can not only watch this live, but you can also watch this on demand on your own time at home. So without any further ado, we'll get right into it. We have Chief Safire here, who's going to talk to us about the police budget. Chief, take it away.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Just gonna switch my screen over here real quick.
As you're bringing that up for the audience as well as for members, what I've been trying to do is to get questions ahead of time for the departments, and it's been, first week was good, this week's been even better. So we've had about 7 questions come in, which I've given to Chief for review before the meeting, so I think we've got all of our questions answered, and if not, I'm sure we'll have more questions.
And I emailed this to Deidre about an hour ago because I had to make some adjustments to the graphs and stuff.
Okay.
So those are
Oh,
my
you-
things.
oh, nice call.
All right.
Good job, all right.
So tonight, I kind of went over the whole police department operationally, condensed. Hopefully, it'll shed some light on a few things to the committee. I hope to hit the achievements that we've had, the budgeting, staffing, scheduling, and training. This first, can we, I don't know, oh yeah, hold on. Damn, what is this?
If you hit that out, yeah, there you go.
All right. This is a kind of a bullet point of all of the achievements for funding for our police department for this year. This is all the grant funding that we were awarded, evidence room certified. We do this annually since 2016. That's $3,000. That's the weight in gold. That's a huge deal. So we have an outside third-party agency come into the police department, into the evidence room, and make sure that all the evidence, drugs, guns, and property line up with the audit sheet from the records management system. And we've consistently got 100 on the audit since 2016. So, you know, I'm really proud of that achievement. And I want to thank Sergeant Sherns and Detective Gonzalez for ensuring that that's wired up tight. The Bulletproof Vest Grant, which is managed by Officer Roy. All of our bulletproof vests, they have a 5-year lifespan. So the town has not paid for vests for any of us for years. The federal government pays half and the state matches it. So we're on a 3-year cycle, every 3 to 5 year cycle, where everybody's getting their vests replaced so that we're not going over our allotted amount for vest funding. Dispatch training grant, if you watch the select board meetings, you see me in here probably quarterly appointing part-time dispatchers. And when we do that, the training, there's no cost to the town for the training. It's paid for by state 911 through the dispatch training grant. Technology grant went up $11,000 this year to $46,000 and change. The reason being, state 911 terminated the recording device, which records all our radio traffic and phone calls into the police department. And the idea behind that is to join regional dispatch facility or buy your own. So we petitioned the state and they awarded us the extra money to pay for our own recording device, which is gonna be installed next month. The additional equipment that comes out of that, $46,000, is everything in our cruisers. So laptops, each laptop set up in the car is about $6,000. So we cycle those out every few years with that money. Traffic enforcement grant, this is like a 75-25 split, 75% actual traffic enforcement by the police officers, 25% would be signage, digital signage. We just installed a digital sign on Orchard Street down by Toll Brothers. That's not just a digital sign, that's actual. That actually will do a traffic study too on demand and send it back to the police department. So it gives car counts, what type of car, commercial truck, et cetera, and communicate that back. We just took delivery of another one, so that will be deployed elsewhere. And thank you to the DPW, because those have been installed in breakaway posts so that we can move them around town fairly easily, rather than having them there permanently. PBT grant, those affordable breathalyzers that are deployed in the field for a motor vehicle stop involving anybody that is believed to be under the influence, so we didn't have to replace those this year. School safe signage grant over at the Clyde Brown, the traffic pattern was reconfigured in the lower lot of the new Clyde Brown, as well as additional signage placed around the school campus. Mass Vesta Dog, they've been huge over the last few years since we implemented Nitro into the PD. They outfitted the rear of the cruiser to hold specific equipment for Officer Sullivan and Nitro. And the Med Project, if you have prescriptions and you drop them off to the PD, we can't just take those and dispose of them. Those boxes are stamped by the DEA, metered by UPS, et cetera. So the Med Project pays for the disposal and shipping for all that. Since 2017, all told, $637,000 we've brought in through grant funding, and have not had to come to the taxpayers for anything. Tasers, handguns, all this equipment is used daily, and really it's capital equipment that many towns ask for, but through some creative folks in the grant division and outside the box thinking, we've pretty much have everything that we need. We just got our second round of handguns since 2016. We replaced them and took delivery last month, so all paid for. For our department in terms of community engagement, you know, the Police Leadership Academy, I'm sure you've seen the kids running around town in their blue shirts. We do that for 2 weeks, and that's the school resource officer's baby, if you will. That is a lot of work. We take the kids in all day for 5 days, and it's free. We'll announce the camp in March on a date, and within 3.5 hours, both sessions are sold out for the summer. So that's been well received within the community. It promotes trust, teamwork, and respect amongst kids, and we intentionally pair them up with people that aren't their kids, that aren't their friends. So by the end of it, they just made some new friends. So overall, it's a great program. Mass Special Olympics, we've remained committed with the folks from Mass Special Olympics, specifically participating in the polar plunge. And come the end of March, Bear Force One will be over at the high school, so we'll be making a jump over at the high school this year. They got a new rig, so we don't have to drive to the beach this year. The police and fire toy drive, the town of Millis has been phenomenal in terms of donating the toys for this drive. The unique piece about this program is 100%, these toys stay in Millis. They go to families and kids in Millis. And each year, this keeps growing, which is phenomenal. And, you know, I think this year was our 5th or 6th drive. Pause, we implemented a couple of years ago, and basically, we go over to the Clyde Brown and get paired up with children at the Clyde Brown School. It's kind of like the Big Brother, Big Sister program, but it's with police officers, and we go to lunch, recess, and probably half the year. Second half of the year, we start going over there. Community impact team, we have several officers that will handle events, public speaking, seminars, training for the community, or any other specific issues or safety concerns. We have a really motivated young group here, so we're fortunate for that. And our beloved town clinician, who's been busy since the town hired Ms. Leone. She does a great job in terms of handling our on-scene responses, follow-up care, and handling various cases that we deal with amongst the other things that she does for the town.
Chief, could you just elaborate on the town clinician for everybody? You told me, but I think it would be beneficial for everyone to understand the role that person plays. And you might do it in a bit, I don't know.
So no, that's, the town clinician, she's available to everybody in town. And specifically for us, if we have a domestic, whole family's involved, or an individual has a substance abuse problem, years ago, we would deal with the individual and say, all right, we'll try to get you a bed, for example, and get you into help. And 100% of the time, there's never a bed available, right? So she'll either come to the scene once it's safe, or come to the station, or go to the individual's house. And there's been multiple occasions where she makes a phone call and they get a bed that night because of the connections that she has in that field. So her reach is pretty far. But the call just doesn't end there. Back in the day, we would have to do follow-ups and check in. How you doing? Do you need any further help? Amy does all of that, right? So in terms of financial savings, there is a financial savings there, because that, for us, would be additional officers coming in and handling this. And it's readily apparent now, more so started last year, mental health it's not slowing down, it's increasing across the board, all ages. And to give you an idea, I would venture, I'd say 5, 6 a week, like serious mental health calls here. But that's everywhere. People, every department in town is dealing with it. So we're very fortunate to have the town clinician available and at the ready. Generated revenue, we're not a huge revenue department. We brought in almost $30,000 in administration fees, which contractors get billed out by the hour for, if they hire a police officer for 8 hours, they get charged 10% on top of that, and that's the admin fee. License to carry, that's new license to carries and renewals, about $10,000. Court fines, $720, and solicitor fees, $1,000, for a grand total of $41,000 revenues to the PD, to the town, not to the PD. When you were going through the various lines on the budget, there's an overtime line. There's a couple overtime lines, but the straight overtime line, that pays for vacation, personal time, comp time, sick time. Court is every day. We're sending people to court every day. And if you're familiar with the court system, nothing is handled that day. It goes on for a little bit. Investigations, on-the-job injuries, specialized training, critical incidents, storm coverage, any regional task force, and K9 response. We have mandated overtime that we have to, mandated training that we have to attend. I'm sure everybody has heard of POST or the police reform over the last couple of years. If you haven't, the police reform bill, they created a mandatory certification process for anybody that is a police officer. And how is that different from how it used to be? All of our training gets uploaded into the POST database. And if you don't have all that training in the POST database at the end of the year, you can't work. It's that simple, and they're on top of it. You have to hit the 40 hours of the subject matter that is outlined by Mass Criminal Justice Training Council for the year. That's not, we're not counting any specialized training. We have a requisite of 40 hours of classroom that we have to go to. And they're on it. They are on it. We had a transfer come in, and they're like, well, you took a transfer and they missed this block of training. Well, no, they didn't. When we took the transfer, the home police agency never uploaded the information like they were supposed to, but that got squared away. So it is being monitored, and they're all over it. In terms of the extra in-service training, we have less lethal training that we have to recert in each year, as well as the BAT is the breath test operator of a breathalyzer machine. 16 hours of firearms training, which includes handgun, rifle at the range, suicide prevention. All of this is training that needs to be done. Quals, you have to qualify with a firearm. And we do it regularly. We do it in the day, we do it in low light, we do it in no light, flashlight only. Specialized positions within the police department, and I don't want anybody to get confused. Like, these aren't dedicated positions. These are police officers you see on the street that might wear a few hats, right? We have an officer assigned to the DEA task force. We have 2 licensed to carry officers, 1 full-time court officer. He is dedicated to the court Monday through Friday. In the event he goes on vacation, we have an assistant court officer. We have a motor officer, an officer assigned to SWAT, a crisis negotiator, K9 officer, 3 sexual assault investigators, 1 school resource officer, 4 firearms instructors, and those instructors are for the PD. Those aren't for the public, for licensed carries. We have 4 field training officers. We have a dispatcher that handles IT, whether it be with the computers in the building that have the record management system, or if we need our radios, either our portables or the cruiser radios program. He does it. He's a dispatcher too. Like, he dispatches, but he can fix all this stuff. We have 2 drone pilots, 3 detectives, and 2 permitting officers. And the 3 detectives, they're patrolmen with detective training. For the marijuana impact funds request this year, this is the same request that we've asked for each year. The only difference is the contractual increase for the SRO salary. Stipends is $12,000, and training. So some of these slides, if you've been on this committee a while, they're the same slides that I've been using, right? I just changed the date.
Change the town.
And I bump up the numbers each year, right? I mean, that's just the way it goes. So, every year since 2012, we handled 8,500 calls. And in 2023, we handled 16,761 calls. So there is a significant increase there. And the median number of officers in the comparable communities. And where did I get the comparable communities? I utilized the same communities that the town uses for comparable communities when they're working on contract negotiations. It's the same exact town. You know, we've been plagued by overtime costs. We've definitely straightened the ship on that over the years. And historically, there's been no depth to the department. And, you know, one thing that really highlights that is when you have someone out, OJI, on-the-job injury, one's tough. If you have two out, that's really tough. That's a big hit to the PD, right? So having depth to the shifts is very important for a number of reasons, and I'll get into that in 1 second. Our department, our job, our profession, the calls that we go to, you know, it's changed significantly. I started here in 1996, right? And there were literally 10 of us that worked here at the time. You can't operate like that anymore. We're responding to the changes in the training, structure, accountability, policies, and technology. Everything is computerized now. Everything's electronic. We've been aware and involved in informational meetings, planning meetings with various boards and committees. Well, I have been since 2016. And, you know, whether it's Toll Brothers or Anthology or any of these other big builds that have been coming in, every year, what are we gonna do? Because when they open, calls are gonna go up. Well, how much are they gonna go up? I don't know. And when we were having these discussions, it was pre-pandemic, so in pre-mental health, right? And I don't know if the two are related, I have no idea. But since then, everything's shot right through the roof in terms of those types of calls. And each year, I've always asked, like, how are we gonna service this? And not just me, I know the fire chief has asked, I know Mr. McKay's asked, because when you bring people into town and build stuff and build the town bigger, you gotta be able to service it. So what is the plan? How are we gonna grow our departments to either catch up or kind of grow as we go? But now it's 2024 and everything is open. And Anthology is only 30% to capacity as of last week. Why am I bringing that up? I'll show you in 1 second, right? So all that is an illustration of the 8,500 all the way up to 16,000 plus calls. The median number of the comparable towns is 21. And I'm sure you guys have seen these slides. These aren't new either. I've broken down the new developments, Anthology, Emerson Place, Cottage Ave hasn't started yet. Rivendell, that's built. Larch Road is half built. Regency at Glen Ellen, that's almost to completion. So, you know, you're looking at about 1,242 residents. How did I get that? I went down to the building inspector and pulled the occupancy of what should be in there, and just, that's where I generated those numbers from. Projects in the pipeline, Herman Chew, we're looking at 196 potential new residents there. 1060 Main Street, 48, and across from Tractor Supply, 16. So what is driving the need between police and calls? And last year, I forget what member had asked me, but I said, you know, we have like X amount of calls. And they're like, well, what kind of calls are they? So we broke it down. I broke it down so you can see the highlights of it. So out of the 16,000 incidents, total hours that officers were on scene at a call were 5,516 hours on a call. This isn't like out doing traffic enforcement. This has nothing to do with traffic enforcement. These are actual calls. The the communication center took 1,875 calls in 2023. This is not fiscal year, this is 2023. So these illustrate the four busier developments we go to. Anthology, like I said, 30% full, and they haven't been open a year. So the column on the left is the number of times that we went to the address. The column on the right, the immediate right, is the total number of hours that were spent at that address. So Anthology, 114 times, 57 hours. Millis Housing, which is, that would be your Harry King Terrace, Kennedy Terrace, and a section of Daniel Street. That's Millis Housing. 73 calls for service for 51 hours. Stony Brook Apartments, located behind Roach Brothers, 251 times for a total of 194 hours. Toll Brothers, 147 times, 51 hours. And Willowbrook Manor, 70 for 41 hours, right? And then, well, what type of calls are these? Is this just like you guys getting called there for a false alarm? No. It's some of these calls, but I added more so that you can actually see a bigger landscape, right? License to carry, that is an officer that is on patrol. I don't have a licensing officer that just gives out handgun licenses. It's an officer who's out answering calls and then comes back in to handle LTC appointments. We had 150 appointments last year. 68 hours, that one officer or two, however it got broken up, they're off the street, right?
So just to clarify, so someone comes in, they want to get a gun license, they sit down, the officer has to prepare for the meeting, sit with that individual, interview them, follow up with that meeting with necessary paperwork, and that takes anywhere from 1 hour plus or minus?
Usually less than an hour.
Okay.
He's got it down pat pretty good.
Okay. Regardless, so that is 68 hours though of 150 license appointments?
Correct.
Okay.
Alarm calls. So these are just house alarms, right? 220 of them. That took 30 hours of police officers' time. That's our job, but it's important to put that in there because more often than not, they're false, right? Disturbances, 82 for 68 hours. And how am I getting these numbers, in case you're wondering? Like, I just didn't spitball. In the RMS, it logs when the police officer or officers arrived, when they cleared, and then it gives you a total. And you can pair it out to get these, to find out how much time people are spending. Overdoses.
What's the MVA?
Oh, sorry, motor vehicle accidents, 155 of those.
Okay.
177 hours of motor vehicle accidents, right? And what takes time? It depends on the severity of the accident. It could be as quick as, it's a paper exchange, just tap the bumper, we exchange the paperwork, you're in and out in 10 minutes, to a fatal car accident, which could take most of the shift, right? Overdoses, 11, we had 11, 16 hours. Psych, mental health calls, 51 for 88. sudden deaths. These are just unattended deaths. They're not anything suspicious. There's 15 for 57 hours. That was 23. Well-being checks, 113 for 117 hours. Follow-up investigations, so as a citizen comes in and we're following up, that's the amount of time that we put into follow-ups with just speaking with people in the lobby. That's not even counting what they're doing after you walk out the front door, like the work just doesn't stop there, right? But you can see that it's very easy to say, well, we had 16,000 calls, but there is a significant amount of time that is dedicated to response to these calls. Mutual aid calls, 117 times we went outside Millis to assist a neighboring community, right? And, that was for 76 hours. Domestics, 152 for 93 hours. Suspicious activity, 331, right, for 50 hours. Could be nothing, but we still have to go down and investigate. I didn't add the motor vehicle. This slide is just calls for service. The next slide is motor, yes.
Just a quick question, you had two suspiciouses at the end, what is the second?
So one's suspicious motor vehicle, and the other one is suspicious activity. So the suspicious motor vehicle is the 186 number. Motor vehicle activity, these numbers are significantly higher, so if I put them on the other chart, you wouldn't see the lines, because it just worked out differently, right? So traffic enforcement posts, when you step, a post is when you see a cruiser parked on the side of the road, they call those in, right? About 2,500 hours, did 1,900 motor vehicle stops, 24 OUI arrests, so drunk driving arrests, 22 warrant arrests, and 21 suspended license arrests. And those are arrests from a motor vehicle stop. That's not all the other arrests that we handle. So unforeseen budgetary impacts, like, I'm of the opinion now that we should, I'm gonna change this and just say you should count on it. Because since 1996 that I've been here, we've never had a full police, on paper, we've had a full police department, but we've always had somebody out. So I would plan that a police department is gonna be down at least one officer being out on OJI. Historically, that's the trend, and it continues, right? Any questions on that piece of it?
Go ahead, Gabby.
Chief, how many mutual aid come to Millis? You mentioned how you send some out. Is it an equivalent number that come in to help you?
I mean, I can find
I mean,
out
I'm
for
sure
you.
it's negligible.
It's usually Medway or Medfield that are over here. And when we go mutual aid, most of the time it's for a motor vehicle accident
Something, yeah.
or domestic, serious call in nature.
Not that they don't have the staff to take care of it, they need extra help.
When you have a significant incident like that, you need bodies and officers to either handle helping the people that need help, or shutting an area down, or setting up a perimeter to establish a search for either a missing person or a despondent individual in the woods that may or may not be armed. That's typically the calls that we get.
Now, how is it, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
that the services, like a false alarm or something, do other towns charge for that? Like the fire chief was saying that at Anthology, I think I heard that if someone falls, it's an automatic cost to the owner. Is there anything similar to that,
I know a number of towns do charge. We used to charge, like, before my time. I
Right.
wanna say like in the late eighties. And I'm all for it, but the issue being is like, who's gonna do,
Then you have to find.
who's gonna do all the billing and,
well, there's outside services. Before you say who's going to pay for it, I'd really like to see, not directly through you, or there's some group within the administration that, some revenue enhancing to go along with the extra expenses that are being incurred is, the bottom line. Or I know you went from your solicitors from $10 to $100, and now that's up to $1,000. It's not nickel and diming or anything, but it's,
So what do you mean by revenue? Can you just clarify that?
charging for a service,
Okay.
charging the homeowner, revenue coming back rather than,
I mean, to that point, like, the revenue that I showed you, that doesn't come to the police department. That goes to, like, the general fund. So I don't know what the percentage of that comes back to us, but I think maybe something to consider, which I reached out to Ms. Beret last week, is, with the fleet, establishing a fee for details that require a cruiser. So if you require a cruiser to be at the detail, then, you charge that company X amount of money, and that money then comes back into a fund that would supplement or assist with repairs to the cruisers, which would then offset the cruiser repair line. Because I think that's the only way that if we were to implement something like that it would be a direct benefit to, I think, what you're trying to achieve, like with the alarms question. Like, we wouldn't see that money, but the cruiser, I can draw a direct nexus from, you order a detail, you pay for the cruiser, and then with that fee, it would be held in an account, so when that car needs service, thank you, you just paid for an oil change. You know what I mean? So like, I think, and there's several communities around us that currently do that. And, it ranges from either $5 or $10 an hour up to $75 for an 8-hour block. And then, and with the number of details that are in town, I think that would be something to consider to be the most advantageous route to go, but that's just me.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate that you're looking into revenue enhancing or generating for the town as well. And just throwing this out there, would there be any thought like to a revolving fund or anything, that the funds that you collect the license to carry funds you collect would go toward that department rather than going back in and coming back out again? It's for another day to discussion, but I want to keep that on the table,
Yeah,
Mr. Chair.
good point. Yep, thank you. Go ahead. Joyce, do you have a question?
Just two questions. How many of your staff is a resident? How many of your staff member are a resident of Millis? How many on your force? I'm sorry, I wished I had sent this information beforehand, but it didn't come up until now, when we were discussing, and I know you're a resident of the town. Would you say half of your?
I would say half.
Okay, so it's not unreasonable to say that your best interest is for the town, and you wouldn't be asking for additional police officers if there wasn't a need, because a majority of you are residents of the town and it would impact your taxes.
But yeah,
That's fair to say. I mean, the fire department said majority of his members are residents, and that's why they're so conscientious about what they ask for and what they do and how they take care of the town. And because it's your taxpayers' money too, I'm just saying that I applaud you for all the things that you do for grant money, and I understand the reason why you're asking, and it doesn't, and I have been here for 6 years now, in this chair, that chair, hearing you ask for the same thing. And it does, I think, I do think it needs to be addressed, because you're proving things that, you're showing us things that we never saw before.
Well, I appreciate that. But there's, various calls that come into this department, whether it be weather-related, whether it be a serious incident in nature that requires additional individuals, like this year alone, that missing person line, those are all despondent individuals or special need folks that either wandered away, one jumped out of a car. That being said, you have to handle those calls appropriately, because if you don't, the best possible outcome probably won't happen. But I'll just give you an example, because I feel like people don't understand, like, this stuff happens here, and a lot of the times, it can't go out because it's HIPAA, right? So I can't put it up. That being said, if you have a family member that has gone missing, like, you gotta establish command and control, which is either myself, Chief Barrett, or us together, a unified command, OIC, establish a perimeter, deploy officers to start dropping ring cams, checking cameras, following up with the family, going back to check the house, establishing a perimeter. You just can't, you need people to do that. And, over the last 3 months, we've had a few significant calls there that you probably saw, and myself and the fire chief are gonna handle the calls appropriately for the community. Like, I would never think well, I'm gonna worry about the overtime line. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna go and handle the call. But there is a significant amount of skill and people that you need to handle these calls appropriately. When domestics, you need multiple people there. You just need it, because, we carry less lethal. We carry a handgun. Somebody's controlling the scene. You have 2 people separated. If I was at a domestic with one other officer, and I have my taser and my gun, and I'm talking to the individual, my attention's divided, right? So we're trained a certain way, without getting into the specifics, to do our job accordingly.
Well, I think one of the things that is mistaken is because we're a small town, people don't think bad things happen. And, and bad things happen in small towns. And so that's just the point. I think that's what you just said. But bad things happen in small towns. I think the other thing is, in my opinion, because the police force and the fire department are friendly, people don't, I don't know why, but because you're friendly, then there's nothing wrong in town. It's a funny mentality. I'm just, but you keep an open door policy, which is exceptional. I think there have been numerous times I've gone to the fire department or the police department and felt very comfortable going in and asking, can I speak to so-and-so and get some information? But I do think a lot of times people do think small town, no problem. And we have the same problems, and we need the staff to be able to take care of it. I did have another question, but because I'm gnat for brains.
Well, I
right
think
now.
the importance of reviewing the numbers that you've shared is, it's not in our face, it's not in the public's face. And that's
Right.
what you, as a department, is dealing with day in, day out. So that helps me, I'm sure it helps others in terms of just seeing the bigger picture of what your needs are as a department.
Yeah. There was another question. I know. The fees. You mentioned about the cruiser fees, a detail fee. So if there's tree work and you need an officer, a police officer there, is that an extra detail, or is that or you talk, I've seen police officers directing traffic.
All separate.
That's
That's
separate.
extra.
Okay, that's what you,
So like that is what
okay,
I'm talking about with the police cruiser. So if
Okay.
they're on a detail with the police cruiser, now the contract is paying the officer, they're paying the admin fee, and they're paying the vehicle fee.
see, now, thank you for clearing that up, because I was under the impression that details were charged for anyway, so that's good to know, it's a separate thing.
Just in the essence of time, you want to progress?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So that's my slides. If we want to transition into the,
Some of the financial meat of it?
yes.
I'll just lead off just to get conversation going. Could you go through the school resource officer and just kind of how Millis compares to other towns, the need of that? We know that that is HCA funded.
Correct.
If you could just shed some light and kind of where that's been, where it is now, and where you see it going.
So the current school resource officer handles the Clyde Brown Middle School and High School. So one officer for the whole complex. Medway, Norfolk, and Medfield, Medway, Norfolk, I want to say Bellingham. Number of police departments around us have been adding school resource officers. I mean, obviously, their schools are spread out all over the town. Our school resource officer has been a huge asset because, again, you don't know, like, what the school resource officer handles there. But having that individual in the school has a direct line not only to the kids feel comfortable if they have a serious issue, which they've had, and they feel comfortable enough coming to that officer to give them information or seek help. And the flip side, as you've seen all over the news for years now, God forbid something happens at the school, we have a police officer in the building. Moving forward, I know the HCA funds are going away, but I would be 100% against removing a police officer out of the school.
Yeah.
Given what's going on in the world, one. Two, I mean, you have other communities adding school resource officers, right? And again, I'm not looking for additional school resource officers. We have a great setup here with a small footprint, and he's able to go back and forth between both schools. In terms of the funding, that funding will either A, have to be absorbed into, obviously, our budget, or B, if he's spending half the year there, we have a discussion with the school and say, you fund half the officer, because the other half of the year, when school's out, I say half a year, probably a little bit more, whatever, but when school's not in session, that police officer is on patrol and counted towards the staff, offsetting vacations and people being out. So my suggestion would be to ask the school to
Okay.
split it.
So, that makes sense. Would you, that's an option. Would any of the three positions that you're requesting weave that into a school officer down the road possibly in '26 or?
I mean, possibly.
Yeah.
But take the HTA funds just aside for
Yeah.
1 second. Like, those three officers are not including the school resource officer. Like, every year, this is gonna be my 8th year this year, right? So if we knew as a community, as a town, with the stakeholders, various communities, various committees, hey, we have all this stuff being built, well, how are we gonna slowly grow the structure of these departments, so it's not a big hit. I mean, maybe we could have put one officer on every 2 years, starting, a few years ago, so when we're not here. But bottom line, like, that number is not gonna get smaller. And I know for a fact that, you guys, as a Board of Selectmen, I totally appreciate offsets, but there comes a time where it's gonna cost money too. Will it offset, overtime and things like that? Sure. To what degree? I couldn't give you a good number because it's just busy. But we have, as a town, and it really has to be considered to make an investment to grow these departments because of the call volume. So, to answer your question, if that's the way it has to be, I'm not gonna say no, obviously, and
Yeah.
disagree, but, the 3 on the road is where we should be,
Yeah.
right? And my fear is, this being year 8, if it gets punted again for like another year and another year and
Yeah.
another year, then I come back and,
I mean, really, the downside are the residents, right? Because if there's not enough staff to handle incidents, calls, then whoever's injured or in need of help waits, in a sense.
there's that, and
Yeah.
then there's all the other services
Yeah.
that are provided through the town,
Yeah.
through the department, which people ask for all the time. So if you wanna continue with all of that and handle the calls.
Yeah.
We need X amount of people. It's just, we're getting to that point, and I just keep the slides in here the same every year, like I said, but this year, with
It's
those numbers,
eminent.
that just laid it out completely differently, not for you guys, it laid it out differently for me, because when I pulled them, I was like, it's a lot of time, that's a lot of time, and a lot of calls at specific locations. And that was just quickly done for here. I picked the 4 busiest places. I'm sure if we dove in some other, there's a whole other rabbit hole that we could go down, but
But Chief, some of those places you mentioned aren't built yet.
right. But the ones that are built, like
Or they're not
Anthology-
completely, who knows when they're gonna sell out Anthology?
Right, but,
You're trying to be proactive.
well, no, I'm saying for 30% full,
They're already getting calls.
we're getting
Right.
150 something calls.
As it fills up, there'll be more
As it
demand.
fills up, it's gonna be significantly more. That 100% is gonna happen. When that happens, I don't know. I know that, they've been taking new residents in.
But if you're already in a deficit with your staff, it only seems that you're now putting, with the buildings that are going to be
Growth.
going on,
Yeah.
it's just going to keep depleting, man hours.
Resources.
Resources.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to just touch on the school resource officer. I 100% agree with you. It's necessary to have one in the school. I actually feel better. My daughter's in the middle school. I am happy that there's one there, so I agree it shouldn't be taken away. Once the HCA funding is gone, and say the 3 officers are approved, and now there's 4 salaries additional into the budget, you had said perhaps the school could split it, but I didn't know also if you had looked, or somebody in the department had looked into grants. I know there's federal grants for school resource officers, like last year there was COPS, this year there was Safer Communities. I just was wondering if that was something that you were also thinking of?
So, I looked at the COPS grant.
Yeah.
And we didn't qualify.
You didn't qualify, okay,
And that's been our issue.
okay.
For the last several years. We just didn't qualify.
Because we're a small town, and,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Any concluding questions? Thank you.
How are the vehicles?
The
Are
police
you-
cruisers?
Yeah, are we on our, the capital planning, the capital
Yeah,
committee?
You're not requesting anything this year
We don't do the cruisers through capital,
yeah.
they're in the budget now.
Okay.
They changed that last
Okay.
year. The cruisers,
Yeah. They're leased now, correct?
they're leased now, correct, but, I'll give you guys these anyways. You can read them.
One more paper.
Is this your timeline?
Well, this is the,
That's what I was looking for. You've always done that.
yeah, well, it messed me up because the capital planning,
Oh,
I no longer
Here
go
we
with them.
go.
Right.
But I maintain this for myself. So this is a replacement schedule for all the capital equipment.
Could you just briefly just touch upon how it's structured now versus the way it was? So it'll answer any questions subconsciously.
Sure, so every year that we needed a cruiser, I'd have to come and ask for a cruiser. We don't ask for anything other than a car. Like, we need a car to do our job, right? Everything else we take care of. But in an essence of time in supply chain, delivery, I approached the capital planning, the select board, and the FinCom, asking to transfer a line into the budget for vehicle replacement. And that way, we weren't bound by waiting for town meeting if we were already down a cruiser for a few months. It was just more to accommodate the department fleet, and that way we weren't down, because whenever we're down 1, 2 cars, then the mileage gets tacked on the other cars, thus reducing their lifespan, right?
Yep.
So this sheet, the top half, everything in the green is the year we received it, and then if you look to the right, the red is when they're scheduled to be replaced. We had a serious issue with one of the cruisers 4 or 5 months ago, so the replacement, it was supposed to go next year. That's the one that's gonna go this year. It makes
switch it up.
financial sense.
Okay.
And everything down below the cruisers is the equipment that has been funded through the grants and when those are due to expire. But we're in good shape till about 2031.
Awesome. This is a great
Thank you, Mr.
spreadsheet.
Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, Chief. We greatly appreciate the details and greatly appreciate you and the entire staff of the police force here.
No problem. Sorry I went over.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
it was my questions.
This is, did everybody else get that? It was like missing.
No,
Do you need a mint?
it must have been a photocopy.
Oh,
I can send you the digital one.
Okay.
You're good. Thank you.
I thought he was joking.
All right.
Again?
Chris has been on deck, ready.
Geez, we're gonna have to start sending Christmas cards.
How we doing?
How are you?
Good.
Make it fast. No.
Good evening, Chris Fogarty, Millis Recreation Department, here to present our budget. I'll jump right into it. We've had a very successful year. First and foremost, while she's here, I want to congratulate Erin LeBlanc. She just was nominated for Community Professional of the Year.
Nice.
Yay.
A couple other highlights. Here we go again. We were awarded the Regional Community Impact of the Year Award last year for 2023. Erin received the Commonwealth Heroine Class of 2023 award. She also received a citation, well, she's a leader. The Phyllis Rec
She's
Serves
gonna
was
take her job.
awarded a citation from the state and for 700 hours and over 100 volunteers. We also increased the revenue by 18%. The carnival came back and was very successful. And we also had some little friends down at South End Pond for goatscaping to clear the poison ivy so that people can enjoy South End Pond a little better without getting poison ivy while fishing and enjoying that spot. Some of the department goals, and we'll get into a little bit of that in the presentation. We'd like to merge the team program coordinator and the department assistant into one position as program coordinator. We're also looking to expand the adaptive programs, as well as increase the Millis Rec Serves roster and volunteer hours, which we're already doing as well. And looking to develop some new and innovative programming for the teen and tween population, as well as looking at alternative funding for grants and programs for upcoming events. So those are just some of the highlights and goals for the Millis Rec Department. I'm going to jump right into the budget. Our level funded request would be for salaries in the amount of $89,437. This would include the director's salary and the department assistant. Also, level funded would be the expense line item for $56,798.
Ready?
Can I just ask a quick question, Mr. Chair? Can you tell me your expenses, are they,
Actually, in your packet, I
did you? Yeah.
I did do a quick thing. So in your packet, there's a couple of charts.
Refer to the bar chart?
Oh, here we go,
Well, there's
expenses.
some bar charts. There's also a spreadsheet.
The
Yeah, which one do you want us to
revenue
go to?
versus expenses?
You want us to go to this one?
No, one before that. Flip it over. I can see it from here.
Yeah, this one, just before this.
Blue and green?
No,
No, this one.
Simon says no. It is, like,
Budget analysis, the one that says budget
Yes.
analysis.
Okay. Yeah. The one, we need magnifying glass.
yes, I was gonna say, I can't really read it to you right now because I don't have my magnifying glass, but
That's okay, we can paraphrase here.
sure.
So you have the 20 fiscal year 2024 budget through 1/25/24 at the top,
Yes,
and then fiscal year 23 in the middle, 2022 at the bottom.
yes.
Where would you like us to go?
Okay, well, Kathy, what was your question, just so I can?
No, I got it with this, the
Okay.
rec versus, revenue versus expenses.
Okay.
Okay.
And actually, you know what, to get a better view of it, I guess you should just look at the graph.
Okay.
Because it's a little bigger, a little better.
Yep.
Better visual.
So why don't you just walk us through that then?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, as you can see, our expenses throughout the years have exceeded over $100,000 for the most part. So, you know, we don't want to include the 2020 pandemic numbers.
Yep.
But you can see our expenses do exceed $56,000 each year. Also, you can look and see that our revenue also exceeds what we're spending. We do anticipate this year that we're gonna bring in over $204,000. That being said, I also wanted to make an announcement. We just put out our spring summer brochure today at 11:15. And before I walked up here, we had $15,000 in sales and registrations.
Wow.
Wow, congratulations.
Jeez.
Yep.
You should resend it tomorrow.
That's
So,
that's not including, well, this is just an estimate of what we anticipate.
so looking at the green bars for 22, 3, 4, is this growth gonna continue, or is it gonna plateau and slow down, do you think? If we were to look at 2025 estimate,
I would say it's going to continue. Right now, we're currently working with a full staff. where I have a full-time person next to me and myself. So as you can see from these numbers, how it's grown over the past 2 years, 3 years. Well, she's been here for 2 years, but it's already going up. So that being said, if you have a full staff,
You can
Yep.
we're doing good things.
Yep, understood.
I mean, can I guarantee you it's going to continue? No, but we're gonna do our best
Yeah.
to try.
Yep.
Were there any other questions? I'm just not sure if I answered it for you.
I'm all set, thank you.
All right. So we're gonna bounce over to Form 6, which is the above level service request.
Okay.
I'll let you go and take a little sip. Okay, this year I have 3 requests. First, just want to say, Millis has been very fortunate to receive the host fund agreement funding, and we were able to implement the teen program coordinator, which I feel was a perfect example of responsible use of this money. We would like to continue having that position. As you see, the revenue and the programming has increased.
Yep.
The Millis Recreation, Millis Rec Serves, which is something that Aaron has actually spearheaded, has grown tremendously. The service hours that these kids are doing include, working with the fire department, working with the police department, the community impact, the food pantry, and most recently, we just Aaron just met with the town administrator office to see if we could help out with something that they're looking to do for the upcoming elections, getting the word out there. It's been positive over the past 2 years. As you see, it's grown. And, we had a vision for the department with this position, and it's far exceeded any expectation I could have ever imagined. So we'd like to ask for that position too. So it would be Aaron, the teen program coordinator, as well as the department assistant, which is 10 hours. So Aaron currently is 20 hours.
Yep.
The department assistant is 10 hours. We'd like to merge that into one position for 30 hours, which is, it's not an increase, it's still the same hours.
Yep.
And make it a program coordinator position. Because not only does she work with the teens in the town, she's working with all age groups. So it just seems more logical.
It'd be beneficial overall for
Absolutely.
your department.
Yes. So that amount would be $41,598, which $11,900 of it is already in the current operating budget. So it would really be a total of $29,676. Currently, her teen program coordinator position is being paid through marijuana funding. So we'd just like to incorporate that into the budget.
Yep.
Second request would be to increase the supply and expense line item to $100,000. As you can see, it's currently, in my opinion, underfunded at the moment. So we'd like to get that up so that we can pay our referees, our instructors, without having to go to emergency funding to
Yep.
transfer the funds. So that would be $43,202, and that would just be to get it to $100,000. And then the third request would to be increase the director's position to 37.5 hours, which would be an additional 2.5 hours a week. So currently, I am at 35 hours. It's a salaried position. The programs and events that are held during regular working hours, as well as we do programs in the evenings, we do weekends, we do holidays, and this is all to accommodate the public. This position does not allow for overtime because it's salaried, so just to increase it 2.5 hours a week would allow for fair compensation. So in summary, the program coordinator would be $29,676. The supplies and expenses would be $43,000, $202. And the director position would be $5,374 for a total of $78,252.44.
Questions, comments?
I'm sorry, this one here that says recreation expenses, FY '24 adopted, FY '25 requests. Your requests don't include the next page? Maybe it does, and I'm
Oh,
seeing
no.
it wrong,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
no, I know what you're saying. This one right here?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, this is a level funded.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So it's
You're
not a
requesting the
request.
above level.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not a request.
This is just
It's
level funded.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Would have been helpful to see it all together.
Yeah, that confused me too, like, I didn't
I'm
realize
looking at
there
this
was
and
like
then
level
over
and
here
then the
and
above,
something,
and it
so-
wasn't then a holistic. I
Right,
think
so
the police had that
total
too.
budget.
Well,
Nicely done, Chrissy.
I guess to keep it streamlined, everybody's.
I got it now that I know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
well,
everybody's was
that
level
answers
funded.
the question, yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna skip over to marijuana funding. We do have a request in for marijuana funding for the inclusive camp. This camp has been, going on for the past few years with the marijuana funding, paying for the staff. And it has been fabulous. It's been fantastic, and we're growing it. I know the marijuana funding is going away. You do have a memo in your packet, so I don't have to go through all the details
No.
of how amazing it is, blah, blah, blah. But I do wanna let you know that we have a plan in place. It's going away. So what we're gonna do is increase the fees so that it will make sure to cover the cost of the staff moving forward. I mean, it does cover it, but we try to keep it at a low cost for everybody where we were getting these funds. It is employing our teens of the town, and it's really exploded. And it's a fantastic inclusive camp. And again, with the help of Erin, I have to keep saying it because she streamlined this and created it's like a well-oiled machine. It's amazing to watch. And I can sit in my office and look out the window and know everything's doing well and just continue on doing director stuff. So it frees up a lot of my time knowing that she's taking care of all this stuff.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's great.
okay.
Thank you, Chrissy. That
Yeah.
was
Thank you.
a great
All right.
presentation, and thanks for addressing the marijuana funds and when they go away, how you're gonna
Yes,
resolve it.
we've already started
That's wonderful.
implementing it this year, so.
Very proactive.
If anybody has any questions, I know I kind of went a little quickly, but I knew we were running behind, so.
No, you got everything in
You're
there.
doing great things,
Okay.
so
Yep.
keep it up.
Thank you
Really?
very much.
Thank you.
Can we take a minute so we can go online and register for for all of her things before they sell out?
Increase it to 16,000?
Well, if they charge more, people would still come.
Have you ever been number 16 when it's limited to 15?
No, because I never really do this stuff, but that's,
No, we're good to go. We're ready to roll. How are you?
No breaks for us.
Good.
Good evening, hi.
I met you on Monday, but
Yes.
please introduce yourself to everybody else.
Certainly, so hi, good evening, I'm Anne Marie Gandy, the Council on Aging Director. I have been here since August 1st, and
Still here.
I am, yes. Thank you.
That's good.
I'm really glad I am, this is very good. So hi, I know we're running long on time this evening, so I'll share some highlights with you.
All good.
So thank you. So we are, as a group, we're a new staff downstairs. For those of you watching at home, we're located on the lower level, and you have a very nice community there. So I came on board in August, and we have another full-time person who joined us in November, who's our senior services and outreach coordinator, which was a wonderful position that was able to go to 35 hours from the 25 it was last year. So my thanks to everybody for supporting that increase in hours and salary for that. She's hit the ground running, which is great. And then we have two half-time folks. One 18-hour department assistant who is relatively new. He started in April, so we're becoming a good team. And then our receptionist, transportation coordinator is also half-time, and she's been with us just 2 years. In addition to that, we have a driver pool of 3 drivers and 1 dedicated volunteer driver who helps to drive, and then a whole other cadre of great volunteers who participate in whether they're working the front desk in the afternoons or helping us on special projects or throughout the day. We're grateful for their service as well. So that's how we're staffed. And it's been a nice opportunity in these last 6 months to really take a look at what had been from your previous director, longstanding director, to now, working with the administration and the facilities department to take a look at the space. I know space is a huge concern, particularly from the past building project potential, and we wanted to see what was happening down there and how we could increase space. And actually, we did find a way to increase space. So we took where the department assistant was. He was one person in a room. We brought him over in front of the other 2 offices, made it an administrative area, and lo and behold, we have a great, if you will, new space for program. And it's a wonderful craft room now. Our Sew and Stitch group, which is new, is in there on Monday afternoons, and all of our paper clips, I'd like to say, are in the administrative area, and now we have a great dedicated room for other activities. In addition to that, again, we keep looking at the space, and now with the new outreach person on board, she's also looking at the space, and we're just trying to make it as warm and welcoming and as fresh as we can. And as we speak, we're even doing more painting downstairs. We'll be buying some new furniture, really, trying to freshen the space and be able to showcase the good work that we want to do. With her additional hours, it's been wonderful already, even just since the beginning of November, because the type of work she does, in addition to dealing with residents on a regular basis for either application assistance or counseling, or just getting to know them and talking to the folks at the center, and also doing day-to-day administrative tasks, also in her role, she's able to spend more time and really share her skills and spend, again, more time with people and on their issues. Sometimes, somebody comes in who you think it might be a, if you will, sort of quick answer to maybe an application in, but you are able to spend now more time and really delve into their situation and offer them a variety of things that they might not have thought were able, they might be able to receive in terms of services. So the team is coming together, which is very nice. With that being said, looking at things and being new, and the team being new, we are going in level funded. I want to take a good idea about what's already happened there and what we can do with the resources that have already been dedicated. So with that being said, for the general public, the personnel service is at $177,683, and the expenses are $9,934 for a total for the department of $187,617 in requests from the town. But there are no additional requests. There had been a capital piece, which we are pulling.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yes, so we.
There's some questions on that, so please
Okay.
educate us.
Certainly. So we were the grateful recipients of legislative earmark, which originally had been $25,000, and due to the governor's 9C cuts, when she had to change her budget, that was cut in half. Those earmarks need to be spent before June 30th. It's dedicated to replacing our vehicle. We have 3 vehicles in our transportation fleet: a sedan, minivan-style van with a ramp that pulls out, and a 7/8 passenger, depending if we take the seat out, minibus. So the sedan gets, it's 13 years old, and prior to my coming, had been, noted as something that should be replaced. Our residents really like it. It's comfortable. It's easy to get in and out of. Makes for easy parking. It's one that's highly requested, and it's for those reasons it's used quite a bit. So with that earmark, we're looking to replace that sedan vehicle And our friends, the Millis COA, will be picking up the rest of that. I do not have a quote. I'm working with MHQ, which is the Municipal Buying Group.
Yep.
And we're looking to get something a little larger. Right now, it's a 2013 Chevy Cruze. We're looking to purchase something on the lot, and what is on the lot, they say. What's available would be a 2024, I believe, or 2023 possibly, Hyundai Sonata. So it's about 5 inches larger all around. It's a little easier to get in and out of, and hybrid to go with our green energy issues. So we're very happy about that. But again, I'm still waiting for them to build a quote and potentially use the Chevy Cruze as part of the trade.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
So more details should be coming, and we're excited about that. And our Friends Group is excited to be able to, they have a dedicated vehicle account for just such an expense that they've been waiting on, and this is the perfect opportunity for them to be a partner in that effort. Okay, so I will be withdrawing that request. That capital request was more of a placeholder in case we didn't know what was going to happen at the time, because right when the budget materials were due was when the governor was making her cuts. So that's on that. So in terms of goals and working with the new staff there, 3 main ones. Transportation. I'm an avid transportation proponent, and unfortunately we do not have MBTA service, the ride, in this town. We actually take some of our residents to another border so they can actually catch the ride in another town. That's another conversation for another time, so it's a very, very huge conversation, which I'm happy to learn more about and work with other partners in town to discuss. But transportation is our goal. We want to get people where they want to go. We want to work with our drivers. We want to add another driver to the pool so we can have more opportunity there. So that's transportation. Working with the new outreach person to enhance our outreach initiatives. You know, we have a newsletter, we have a brochure, we're going to have a welcome packet. We do spots on Millis community media. We want to continue to do more of that, because we know that what we do at the Council on Aging is not just what happens downstairs. It is in the community. It is being out there. It is meeting people where they are, whether it's where you live, whether it's, you know, where you shop, where you, faith-based communities, the library. We want to be able to meet people where they want us to be, in group settings and visit different groups. And share about what we offer, and they know where to find us, and how we can help them with whatever service they might need. So really ramping up that and making sure that the new outreach person is known in town. In addition, we work with our partners. It's our partners in police and fire have been great. The police department and the fire department, we're going to host our holiday celebration, which got thwarted by that storm. So we look forward to doing something with them, as we can. But the fire department has their Senior Safe program, and they come to the Council on Aging once a month, provide pizza, do a great presentation on emergency and fire safety. Everybody loves it. We work closely. The chief talked about the town clinician. We work closely with her and her team, particularly on cases that are beyond what myself or the outreach person can handle. So she's been a great asset, and we're really happy to have that partnership. My thanks, to the Recreation Department. We share the gym in terms of programs. To the library, we're doing programs there. And to, again, I'm just going to give a shout out to the Facilities Department, who's been really good about painting and moving all the furniture downstairs. So in transportation, outreach, and then, yes, of course, program. I'm very big about surveys. So right now, if you come to the senior center, you'll be asked to tell us what you think. And we take what people say very seriously, and we want to make sure that the instructors of our classes know what their participants think. And then we also take a look at that information and see what we do. And how we can do it better, or how, if things are okay, then that's great too. So really focusing on programs. Since I came on board, we were able to add 2 new exercise programs. So now we have exercise 5 days a week, which is great. People are very happy about that. It's, again, a nice community down there. Our average age for this center is about mid-70s, I'd say 74, 75. Younger seniors, people who really come in saying, I just retired, I need to have more information about Medicare, and, what do you have going on down here? Might use you for some of it, I'll come back again for something else. And 85% of them do come from Millis. About 15% come from other towns. The other towns are the ones closest, Medway, Medfield, Norfolk. But, any senior can go to any senior center. So we're happy when we see people from other places. It's great. And I certainly know that our folks also go other places as well. And the directors in the network all talk, and we see each other's newsletters, and we don't try to duplicate too much because, we want to be able to share, make sure our seniors know that there's lots of things going on and try not to duplicate. With that being said, do you have any questions? Yes.
I don't have a question. I
Uh-huh.
have a comment, though, or the outreach person, though. She's available for all townspeople, not just the seniors. And that's something that I think
The town clinician? or who
they,
you're
no,
referring to?
this person, the outreach person that they have downstairs, Lisa, she's not just for seniors. If somebody needed something for in-town
Well, we're
aid.
Right, well, we're certainly the conduit between the Millis Fund and if anybody
Thank
needs
you.
anything, yes.
Okay.
And primarily seniors, though, and if we have somebody who's very much younger who isn't looking for Millis Fund help, we would probably refer them back to the clinician in town.
Okay.
So that, the resources in terms of family supports and whatnot would come from there.
Yes.
Okay,
So-
I just want,
Yeah.
kind of clear what she does and who she's for and.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
The
But she-
the
right.
crosses and.
Right, but in terms of all people, I mean, we provide transportation for those with disabilities as well. So if, we have quite a few younger folks in town who will call upon us to get a ride to different places. So that's where the age spread is as well.
Thank you for clearing that
You're
up.
welcome, thank you.
So that's actually a lead into, that was my question on the second page.
Sure.
You have a
Yes.
not insubstantial number of people under 60. Is that people who just need rides or call upon?
The under 60 numbers?
The under 60 numbers?
Yep, so that can be kind of anything. Sometimes those are family members who call and say they want to talk about, they have an issue with a family member. It's people who are under 60 who need rides or who just possibly, come in and under 60, I mean, literally, if you're 59, you'll come in. People always say to me, do I have to be 60 to come in for a cup of coffee? I'm like, no, come in. You
have to
you'll,
pay
you
them.
know, right, you'll find good information and,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. We have but yeah, that's part of that number.
Cool, thank
Indeed.
you.
Just a quick question on the same page at
Yes.
the bottom. It says 54% increase of senior population, and it stops in 2021. Do you have those numbers for 2022 or 2023?
I'm sorry, what,
Yep.
what part are you on?
At the bottom?
Where it says the page that
Oh,
starts
yes,
with
I'm sorry.
accomplishments.
2022, according to Town Hall reports, 2022 was 2,641, and 2023 was 2,793 from the reports
Can you just say those
upstairs.
again?
I'm sorry, sure.
2641.
The senior population, 2,641 for 2022. These are ages over 60. And for 2023, 2,793. Those are from the town clerk's office. Okay. Yep, so in terms of, who we are seeing on a daily basis, I just looked at the check-ins again today, 85 people a day checking in. And that could be, a lot of that is also just, we get breads and pastries donated every day from our partners in the community, bagels. People just might come in and just see what we have. People just stop in for coffee. If you come in and just say, I need to pick up that newsletter on my desk, you're going to get tagged as somebody. We want to know how many people are coming through and seeing our space. And of course, there's an inordinate amount of phone calls that happen that in any senior center, this is a really strong representation of what we do, but I just know that the numbers are certainly larger than that, particularly when it comes to phone calls and emails and, and the amount of time that it takes. Listening to the chief and talking about time, I totally understand that. You have even our person who answers the phone, everybody on staff is trained to really be able to answer quite a few questions, or else find the person who can ask that. And it's never a nope, sorry, or somebody will call you back. It's what can we do? Because the more we talk to people, then you flush out the story and you really understand what they might need. Or if, for instance, if we can't give somebody a ride, we'll also try to say in that moment, we might not be able to give it to you because we have all these other rides going out today. Can somebody in your family take you one way? We could take you another. Are there ways? And you also get somebody talking on the phone, and then you realize, you've had quite a quite a personal interview with them, if you will, about what their situation is. And so we enjoy our work. We find it to be a very happy place. My whole thing is that when people come in, they should be valued and had their needs or their day or what they expected coming in met, and we want you to leave happy. We want you to leave that you've been fulfilled and heard, and create a really strong, welcoming community for anybody who wants to come in. So that's our goal.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Those donuts make everyone happy, let me tell you that. But also,
They do.
all the donations in memory of and everything.
Yes.
Does that stay within you?
So the donations, any donation that comes in, unless it's very specific to the Council on Aging, the donations go to the Friends of the Council on Aging. And they're that nonprofit group who's charged with raising funds to support seniors in town. They're good stewards of their money, and they give back to the Council on Aging on a regular basis. Particularly, they subsidize the exercise classes, they subsidize the parties. There's a variety of different things, the car, for instance, any maybe additional items that we might need. If I can't secure another spot for it somewhere in the budget, we've gone to meetings, and they'll say, oh, we'll pay for that. So they are very, very generous, but they also know, they're prudent with their funds, and they're
Right.
good stewards of their funds as well. So
Yeah.
Thank
it's a
you.
good relationship. Thank you.
And just to clarify, those are donations, not donations.
Sarah, did you have a question? No, I think-
No, I think all my
Was
questions
answered?
were answered.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. You can feel your excitement and what you're doing there,
Really
so
great.
it's,
Very much.
it's good
Appreciate it.
for,
Thank you.
for the seniors, the COA, and good for Millis, so thank you.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Especially with the override didn't pass, that you're making improvements now and seeing things, Joyce, really.
Indeed. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
All right, have a good night.
Have a good night.
Almost on time.
We'll get there. Hey, how are you?
Good, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
We're only 15 minutes behind.
I know.
Bad.
I don't think I'll put you too far behind.
All right, fair enough. Well,
just-
we'll put you to the test.
All right, before I get into the budget, I just want to quickly go through like a few accomplishments from the past year. So, as I'm sure you all know, the library runs lots of different programs for all different age groups. We hosted 514 programs in 2023, which was an increase from the year before. And all of our programming, library staff runs a fair number of them, but any additional like presenters, authors, art classes that we bring in, any supplies, all that is funded through our Friends group, or through grants that we receive. So we had just under 10,000 people attend all these programs, which is about 19 people per program. So we see a good number of people coming to our events that we have. One of the highlights of last year was our Millis Reads program, which is our community-wide read. And we did it around a book called The Violent Conspiracy, and we had the author Brendan Slocum come, and it was a great event. We had 60 people come for that. We had it's a book about music, so we had a string trio perform. So that was a great program. In terms of the library collections, we connect people in town with resources in terms of reading material for entertainment, for education, and not just books, but media and downloadable items and even objects. We have our library of things where we lend items that people may not want to buy, but they can borrow it from the library. So many libraries are seeing a decrease in circulation of the physical materials in the library. So like print materials, anything that someone comes in and physically checks out. We've actually seen a slight increase, and last year was our highest circulation year yet. So we're really seeing people are borrowing a lot from the library. And in terms of downloadable materials, mostly ebooks, audiobooks, streaming things, we've seen that demand just go up year after year, and this past year was no exception. We saw 11% increase in checkouts of downloadable materials from the year before.
How does that work? Just curious.
Yeah, so we have a number of different platforms that we use. The biggest is, it's called Libby, and it's, we purchase ebooks and audiobooks. We purchase through the Minuteman Library Network.
Yeah.
Does much of the purchasing, but then each individual library will purchase items based on the demand in their communities.
So a person can download it and then it expires after a certain period of
Exactly.
time?
Yep, so you check it out, and then after the 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever the loan period is, it'll just kind of vanish from your device.
Love it.
So,
That's great.
You don't have to
no
return
worrying
it.
about having to remember.
late
certain
fees.
Late
things.
fee.
Yeah,
That's how I read most of my books this year, was last year audiobooks.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
great.
pretty
I
cool.
like that. Wasn't aware of it. Okay.
We also celebrated 10 years in the new library building.
Crazy.
It was also the 40 years of the Friends group since they
Yeah,
were
that was a
formed.
nice event.
Yeah, so I know many people from town came, and it was a really nice event that we had back in October to celebrate those 2 milestones. It's been great having Anne Marie here, as you saw. So we've been partnering with the senior center on. We have someone that goes over from my staff that does a monthly tech time over at the senior center to kind of show them how to use different library resources and just help them with any technology-related questions that they have. We do that program at the library, and now we're doing it over here as well.
Nice.
And let's see, I'll just mention a couple of other things. We completed the first phase of the lighting project to repair and replace lighting, and we're getting started with the second and final phase, so that's been very exciting. And the other thing I wanted to mention, we also set up a digital library for some items that we had digitized, mainly yearbooks, high school yearbooks from Millis High School, and town reports dating back from the, early 1900s. So those are available for people to kind of see online, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great.
So we're working on getting everything uploaded there, but there's quite a bit on there already. So then I'll just quickly talk about the budget. It's fairly straightforward. I think this represents a level funded budget. So increases that you see just represent increased costs. So any personnel increases are only union-based increases or contractual increases. You'll see building repairs. So it's a little bit misleading if you're looking at the spreadsheet.
Yep.
Because we actually took a fair amount from building repairs and moved it into library materials. Because after we initially did our budget request last year, we had funds added into personnel, mainly into the wages line to reflect as you know, the contract, the union contract changes went into effect, like partway through the budget cycle. So
Okay.
those lines ended up increasing, and our library's materials line needs to be 19% of our total budget for us to qualify for the state aid program and to be a certified library. So we moved money into that line so that we would be good for that.
Gotcha.
And we chose to move it out of building repairs. So that's why that line for FY '24 looks low. We were initially funded, I think, just around 20,000 for last year.
And just to clarify, up at top under personnel services,
Sure.
define wages pages?
Say that again? Oh, pages.
Yeah.
So pages are that's just one particular position.
Okay.
It's the people that do the shelving and maintain,
Okay.
like order.
And on-call wages, just as it
So
says?
on-call is a specific position where they don't have regular hours. They are called in to cover staff
Gotcha.
who are out.
Okay.
And.
Questions on, sorry, just questions on
Go ahead.
the budget, anybody? No. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then, so I did want to just talk about the marijuana impact funds requests, unless there are other questions about the budget spreadsheet before I go to that. So those funds aren't included in this spreadsheet, but they'll all, so both of these requests for the, one of them is for an evening and teen services library assistant. So this is the third year, I believe, that we're requesting this. And so this position has allowed us to extend our Thursday and Friday hours. We previously closed at 4 p.m. Thursday and Friday, and now we're open till 8 p.m., which matches our other weekday hours. And so this person is 16 hours a week. She's allowed us to open those 2 evenings. And also she has allowed us to offer a lot more programming to teens in the community. So she's really been focusing on like programming and services to middle schoolers. So last year, last year we held 20 programs for middle school aged teens in the community. And as well as, you know, those evening hours, we were able to offer a number of other programs for other ages as well. So we've really seen an increase in the number of like young people that we've been able to help, and so we've also seen very good use of the library during those evening hours. So we have a door counter that shows us like how many people are coming into the building any given hour, and so we saw an average of just under 70 visitors after 4 p.m. on Thursdays, and just over 50 on Fridays. So in that 4-hour stretch. So yeah, so we're definitely seeing a lot of use of these evenings, and it's just a great bonus that we're able to also offer all this additional programming. You know, this one person is 16 hours a week. You know, the expenses for this position are $19,000, so it's pretty, you know, it's not a lot for kind of the impact that we're seeing.
Sure.
And she's able to do a lot with, you know, that time that she's on the desk, and then also still able to do all this programming for us. And then the other request is for remaining open Saturdays in the summer. So this is another one this is the third year that we would like to offer summer Saturdays. So previously, 3 years ago, we were closed Saturdays in July and August, so we didn't have any weekend hours. And that's something that during our strategic planning process, and just kind of anecdotally, it's something that people have asked for time and time again, is weekend hours in the summer. And so, again, it's just under $2,500 to be able to be open these 9 additional Saturdays. And we've seen a lot of use of the building and of the resources and the programs that we've offered during the past few years that we've been able to be open these Saturdays.
It sounds like the hours that you provided is being well attended on various levels.
Yeah.
Have you given it much thought in terms of HSA ending in a few years?
Right. So I know that these funds won't be around forever. And I think it's a little tricky because these are really like core, like operational expenses. You know,
Sure.
it's kind of staffing the building. So in terms of like having like grant funding to cover it, you know, that's more for things that are like, you know, starting initiatives, not really for like the core services of like staffing and like operational hours.
Yeah.
So I would hope that we could show that there's value in offering these additional hours to the community and have it kind of as part of our, our regular
Overall budget.
Yeah.
So are you tracking attendance every time you try one of these pilots, and like, do you have records on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
So, in the forms that I submitted, I have all the, totals for how many people visited the library during these hours, and if we held programming, which we often do on Saturdays, as well as, Thursday and Friday evenings, how many people attended. So we do have pretty good data for how many people are using the library and the services that we offer.
I'm good.
Awesome.
Great.
All good.
Welcome back,
The-
by the way, I haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been back for a bit, but
I know, I never get to, I mean, welcome back.
thank you.
Any final questions? Looks like you have a capital request in here as well,
I do.
which is scheduled for some
Yeah,
siding.
so let
courtyard.
me find that one. So this is kind of,
And this is from the study and audit that you
Right,
guys did, so this
right.
isn't a surprise or anything.
yeah, so it's just kind of general maintenance.
Yep.
So it involves, cleaning and resealing some of the cedar siding at the entrances, mainly at the two main entrances of the building, because there's like an overhang. It doesn't get much direct sunlight, and there's been like some like growth, and it's been power washed, which is kind of like taken off some of the siding, like the finish. So it needs to be cleaned and resealed to kind of preserve the wood and, just the longevity of the siding. So that's one, and then there's a couple other maintenance items, downspout and gutter repairs in the courtyard area. And then we have some lighting in the courtyard that's kind of like the bollard lighting. It's kind of like along the path outside in the courtyard that has not been working, and it seems to be a wiring issue, so it either needs to be rewired or replaced. And that's kind of like a safety issue because it does get dark
Sure,
there
of course.
at night.
Okay.
So, and these were all, as you said, these are all things that were identified in our, the study that we had done last year.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I was
Thank
there
you.
last week for the college night.
Okay,
It was busy,
yep, yep.
so thank you very much.
Great. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you for coming.
All right, moving along. Anybody want to make a motion to approve these minutes?
Move to approve.
A motion to approve the minutes from February 7th of 2024.
Second.
Seconded, discussion. All in favor of approving the February 7th FinCom meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
No nays. Thank you, Jody. Any liaison updates? I don't have any.
No? Huh.
I was gonna mention, moving on to old business, new business, I guess old business. Deirdre put up the fire and rescue presentation online. I think it's worth taking a look at for a lot of the numbers that police was talking about tonight, such as mental health, calls, et cetera, just to help educate ourselves about that and being able to explain that to the residents. Everyone got binders. If you want a binder, feel free and take one. I did talk to Mike about FTEs, and it is going to be department by department. So I think if we have questions on what FTE is, let's ask the department and clarify it.
Thank you.
I think to the general public, it's full-time employee, but for some, it's full-time equivalent. So it is what it is, so let's just clarify that if we have questions as we move forward.
Thank you.
There was questions last time on 5-year projections, things like that. In the fiscal year budget of 2024 online, it does have projections in there. I was able to find those. So
Okay.
that should be able to answer some of the questions that we had last time. I thought those were good. the expense projections aren't there because of the number of variables that go into those expenses instead of just drawing out a straight line, multiple over time. And then last, this round of questions that came in, there were actually a good number of questions that came in, so I encourage all the members to keep reading the material and asking questions. I think it helps facilitate discussion and process and fluidity of the meeting. So all good there? Yes?
I just find out if what the select board is planning on voting on their budget, or they've heard everything already, right? What's the timeline?
Mike, do you have any additional comments to that?
I can't give you a specific date at this point. I
Yeah.
know the next, I think, big meeting is the tri-board meeting on the 27th.
Yep.
We're still refining some of the expense numbers. The largest outstanding number we're still waiting for is the health insurance.
Okay.
We were given an estimate of somewhere between an 8 to 11% increase in our health insurance. But that is through the GIC, through the state health insurance program. And we usually don't get that till about the beginning of March, middle of March sometime. So I would expect the board to have a conversation about the budgets probably in early March, probably one of their meetings right after the tri-board meeting, about specifics. I know the finance director and I had an initial discussion with the chair of the select board today about budgets. There's still some moving parts in there, but I would expect those discussions about the more specifics will begin in earnest in early March. But we are looking at the revenues and the requests that have come in, and we'll certainly be able to provide a little more information at the tri-board meeting on the 27th. So.
Sounds good to me.
I know, and again, I will talk with the chair and the select board about their anticipated timeframes when I meet with them next.
Okay. And just a reminder, we don't have a meeting next week, but the week after we do on the 28th. And that is executive offices and town buildings.
Okay, I thought that was
I
the initial with the schools, is that?
I think that's on the following, I think that's on the 6th.
Oh, okay, oh, very good.
I might have to update my calendar, but I think that's correct. So I guess my question, are those budgets available for the,
You said the executive office,
and
and
the town buildings?
I think those are both in your,
Binders over there?
they should be in your binders.
Oh, they should be?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I
Take a
think
look. Or
pretty
can you-
much we only have one or two budgets that haven't been submitted yet, or do we have them all?
You historical,
The historical committee
and it was the FinCom.
and the FinCom were the only two we didn't have. So all the rest are in the.
Figures.
Are in the budget packets.
Okay.
So they should all be in there.
Perfect.
And, you know, I'd be happy to communicate with you ahead of time if there are any questions about
Yeah.
those budgets. And look forward to meeting with you on the 28th.
Love it.
And hopefully see you on the 27th
Well, we'll
as
see you
well.
the
That's
27th
right.
as well,
That's right.
if I can stay away as I sit here yawning.
Any final comments of any kind? No?
Oh, you had said that you were looking into, Mr. Chair, the marijuana impact funds and how the state is working with renewals, and is there?
Yes, we are looking into that. The way the state legislature has redrafted the legislation, and the CCC, Cannabis Control Commission, has set their new policies, it will be very difficult, if not impossible, to continue anything
Continue it,
worthwhile
yeah.
for the town.
So when
At
does
the
it
risk
end?
of upsetting the legislature, they kind of pulled a little bit of a bait and switch on us on that. I mean, we were one of the communities that were in early, and you know, we have a good business in town that we've worked with well. Most of the towns that have signed these HCA's have not been able to utilize the funds because of the changes to the state law since.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, and changing the rules in the middle of the game is never a nice thing to do to the participants, but unfortunately, that's what the state did in this
Yeah.
instance.
But Millis always made sure that it was related.
Yes,
Some
yes,
towns
we've
use
done,
it to pave roads.
yes, I think we've done an excellent job.
Exactly.
In tracking
Yeah.
it
It would-
and making a nexus between
Exactly.
those costs and the project.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That
I
was a
think
good
we've done a
job.
great job with that.
Yep.
But unfortunately, with the new laws they put into effect, a lot of those won't even qualify anymore. So that's the problem.
Yep. Interesting.
They've made it really
What a
difficult.
ripoff. They don't make it easy to be a town.
No, the state, they get to make the rules, and we have to kind of follow along when they change them.
Just to shift to the calendar again, it looks like, Deirdre, you updated the agenda for the Springtown meeting to be on Tuesday, May 7th. That's
That's-
official?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The select board voted on
Notice
that,
I know.
recently.
Yeah.
It was
So did
because
I.
of some timing conflicts.
Yep.
And so it will be at 7:30 PM on Tuesday,
Tuesday,
May 7th.
So everybody mark their calendars, especially Jody.
I apologize if that upsets anyone's schedule, but it was a decision the board felt it had to make in light of the different conflicts, so.
Sounds good to me.
And so it's still ahead of the election, which is the next Monday.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you both for being here.
All right, thank you. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful February.
Well, it is leap year, we get an extra
Snow
day.
days, I know. My poor son's birthday is March 1st. He always has to wait an extra day.
He does. Take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And a motion, seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Jody.
Thanks, Deirdre.
Bye.